Good afternoon. Juancho Villaverde for ESPN. For both of you, how important was the victory against Colombia, not only in the footballistic level, but also in the emotional level, the way the victory was earned? And how can you guys take advantage of it with the view in the tomorrow's game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think how you stated it is exactly how we felt. I think it was an incredibly important emotional win for us in the sense of getting us back on track to our identity and who we want to be as a team and how our team has been historically, which is very aggressive, always on the front foot, always looking for the opportunity. And I think that we displayed that very well in that game. And so I think it serves as a standard for us to not drop below and to continue to grow upon as this tournament progresses. And so I think that serves very well coming into this next game. We want to match that standard and we want to increase it.
I echo those same sentiments, and I think just the way the game played out, you can see most of that in our defensive presence. And every game calls for different things. We expect this game to be a bit more balanced, so we're looking forward to bringing that same level of intensity and also having more of the ball.
Hi, Twila and Tierna, Stephanie Chowdhury for ESPN. I would like to ask you, Coach, what do you think about your opponent, especially the fact how they won their series against Costa Rica, the fact of going to overtime and all of that circumstances? What do you think about that, especially for Canada and the way they are coming to the semifinal? And for Tierna, I would like to ask you, what do you think about this game too against Canada, your opponent that you know very well, you've played a lot of times against them, and what could be the best thing for your team to win this game? Thank you.
We respect all of our opponents. You know, we're very familiar with Canada. We've played many games against them. We're ready and excited for the challenge of getting the opportunity to play them next. I think actually some of their last match shows just it's difficult to score goals at times, and finding a way is important. The game is changing in that regard a bit, but we expect that they will be bringing their full squad, their full force, that they'll be ready to play us with whatever methods they choose. And yeah, that it's just one of those, you know, those opponents that you play so consistently that we know what to expect. We're going to expect a battle, and they've been working through some changes in their squad as well, starting to introduce new players, having a little bit of a, you know, post-transition with some of their other players moving on. And we can see that they've been successful at it, and it's going to present different challenges for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic rivalry for us. As you said, we've played them many times, and it's always a great game. I think that building off of our last game is what's most important for us for our success. I think regardless of tactics and technical execution, those are incredibly important. But I think also stepping up to the plate of it being a rivalry game, of it having a lot of kind of emotional and mental implications as well. I think it's important for us to approach that game with aggression and with confidence, and be ready for the game to be quite a battle.
Good afternoon, Coach and Tierna. It's Mauricio Duque of La Hora del FPC. For the coach, I want to ask you, in your opinion, what is the main thing that United States need to take care of the Canada game? And for Tierna, if you can send some invitation words for the fans to be obviously like your help in the match. Thank you.
I think, you know, for us, it's pretty simple. It's taking care of the game in all phases of play. And we anticipate a more balanced game. So that would just mean for us, making sure we have the same intensity in terms of defending, carrying out our game plan when it comes to defending, and then making sure in the moments where we have the ability to settle the ball, that we are moving the ball in the areas that we want to move the ball, with these kind of predetermined areas that we want to get into. And I think something that we're starting to identify in the squad is, you know, against Colombia, for instance, identifying goals that would come from attacking transition was really important. But this is a squad that can and does score goals from open play. I think half of our goals have been coming a third of our goals were from open play up until this tournament, and now about half of them are from open play, and we can score from transition, we can score from set pieces, we can score from open play, and we can score from open play that doesn't quite turn out, and or organized attack that doesn't quite turn out, and then we have a regain moment that allows us to continue the attack. So I think when it comes to attacking, there's a lot of different ways that we can implement our strategies to end up with the same type of finishes, and the goal would be to put ourselves in position to do that as often as possible.
For the fans, I think it's so incredibly important for you guys to show up. Your support means a lot to us, and the energy that we gain from fans on the field, we can feel it, it's palpable. So, you know, to be able to walk out into a stadium and know that, you know, thousands of people have your back and are excited to cheer you on is really something that gives you confidence going into a game. So I think especially in a rivalry game, it's really important for our fans to show up and cheer for us. So we're excited to see everybody.
Abrams Biller for San Diego Football. For Twila, could you speak a little bit to the center back pairing of Tierna and Naomi? What was so successful to them in that last game, and what do they bring to the pitch? And for Tierna, can you talk a little about what it's like to play next to like a fellow Stanford player like Naomi?
Well, they have quite a good partnership. Both have, you know, different strengths, both very, very good on the ball, have the ability to have big vision in terms of looking at play well in advance of them, but also disguise play closer to them. Very good ability to play short, medium, and long range passes. And then they're excellent defenders. You know, when we look at some of these games that we've been a little bit higher up in the opponent's half, we can't ignore the fact that a lot of these opponents have excellent attacking players, and we've really done a good job of taking care of our countermeasures. Takes a lot of discipline, a lot of focus, a lot of intelligence, and they're doing a great job at that, shutting down, you know, really viable threats when we have the ball.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to play with Naomi. I feel like Nay is, you know, one of the best defenders that I've seen, and certainly is only improving as the years go on. I played with her in club for a few years. I overlapped with her for a year at Stanford, though I wasn't able to be on the field. And so it really is a nice kind of resurgence of years past to be back out on the field with her. You know, it's always so difficult to play against her in club, so it's nice to be on the same team as her, and to be able to use her assets instead of trying to figure out how to break them down. So it's really just a very fun pairing. I feel like I'm learning a lot from her, and I feel like the partnership is only growing. So I'm very excited about it.
Hi, Tamara Griffin with The Athletic. My question is also about partnerships. I was going to ask you about yours with Naomi, but Coach, I was wondering if you could also sort of elaborate on some other even more emerging partnerships, particularly between Emily Fox and Trinity Rodman on the flanks, between Jenna Neiswanger and Jaden Shaw when she plays on that side, Sam Coffey and Corbin Albert in the middle. If you can just talk about sort of the process of facilitating those partnerships, and they seem to have very high ceilings, all of them. So if you could just offer some reflections on that.
Yeah, I think you're kind of pointing out players that have played closer to each other in recent matches. And, you know, proximity allows for synergy. It allows for reading moments in a little bit different ways. Sam and Corbin playing next to each other has been pretty consistent at training, and something that we've just recently seen in games, but something we've been preparing for. So that's been exciting to see it come to life. And we have quite a different, a mix of different pairings, you know, in the wide areas. And part of that is just because of the roles and responsibilities of wide players can be quite taxing, and there needs to be rotation there at times. But those partnerships that you mentioned are key. And like Jenna and Jaden Shaw, for instance, their ability to play together in tight spaces and also pick and choose the right moments to perhaps make opposite movements with each other, one running in behind, one coming low, is very, very good. You know, Trinity is somebody that Fox, I think you mentioned Foxy, they do play very well together, and Trinity's been doing a really good job of keeping with and allowing for more time for people below her to play with her, which has been really key in isolating her at times. So I think those partnerships that you picked out are really good, strong examples of what can happen when you get this many games back to back and this much time together, both in training and in games.
Coach Todd Strain, NBC here in San Diego. Obviously, we are in San Diego and the San Diego Wave roster is a heavy, big part of this team. Can you speak to just the importance that the Wave players have had on your success so far in this Gold Cup and what you see for tomorrow's match and maybe moving forward this weekend?
Yeah, in terms of, future matches and things like that, we'll leave that for speculation. It makes it difficult. Excitement for the crowd that, hopefully will come and to see who's going to play, and also a little bit more difficult for our opponents. But I think playing in, at home is always meaningful for us, all of us, to play here in the States, and where this is really, really important, but especially when you're in your hometown or your club's town, that's a big, big deal. I thought we saw a big shift in the last couple games, especially in the last match, from several of the local players. Results may not have gone the way they did without those exact efforts, and I think they both did. Multiple players actually did a really good job. Alex and Jaden do have a really good relationship, and you can see how their club relationship and the way they play close together comes out on the field at times. So I know we just had another question about partnerships, and one of the things about Nay is that she's able to partner with almost anybody really well. They have a very special relationship in terms of center backs, but she partners well with the sixes in front of her, whoever she's paired left and right if it's a fullback. And yeah, I think all three of those players are special players that will be excited to play at home.
And then from a coach's perspective, what have you seen from Jaden that has allowed her to achieve this success this early, and are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm very confident in Jaden. I think Jaden is a very special talent. I think integrating into the league has been really key for her. I think that actually playing in this specific place with her coach has been very, very good for her. We know that she's one of the best, final passers of a ball that there is. She's obviously a very good goal scorer. She's very keen to learn all the fine details that we're working through and make sure that she's on the end of certain moments that we know are very predictable for us as a team. And, goal scoring is one of those things that validates everybody's work. So she's willing to, put that on, so to speak, and does a really good job. And she's growing in her capacity in other areas. I thought that she put in a major shift defensively, which probably gets underlooked by many, but that shift she put in defensively against Colombia was huge for us, and a major step for Jaden in an area that she's also developing in.
Hi, Coach. My name is Emor Villa from Diario AS from Spain. I want to ask you about Alex Morgan. I don't want to sound rude, but why didn't you call her in the first place? And what's the role that you want for her now?
So Alex has been a very strong player for us for a very long time, and she is obviously doing a tremendous job in this tournament. I don't expect any less from Alex, and we simply brought in players that we also have confidence in. And this is one of the best things about being us, is we have options. And, with Soph Smith and Mia and other options that we were weighing, we went with them to begin with. And this is what a true pro does. I think this shows just who we are a bit as a country, as well as who Alex is. But Alex stayed ready. She knew if her time was called upon that she would come in. She put in a performance like she did in the last match, which was massively impressive and showed great leadership. But you can show leadership in multiple ways. And what you're seeing from Alex is a true pro through and through.
At this time, we're moving on to our media who has joined on virtually. Andrew, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Andrew Jones from Believe Network. First, for Tierna, want to ask you, with the strong performance that you had the other night against Colombia with Naomi in partnership, do you feel that you're physically back to your best after you overcome your ACL injury? And Twila, for you, just want to ask you, as you talked about Canada having their transition towards their post-World Cup formations roster to a 3-4-3, Jade Rose has become one of those players that have emerged in this new wave. You talk about your thoughts about her in that back line, and if you saw Emma having a fun tweak reaction towards your win the other night? Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think the question about returning to play and returning to form after a long-term injury is really complicated, because I think it's, as most players who have had a bad injury know, it's not about returning to who you were before, but it's about finding your new normal and finding your new athletic and person. And it's a long road, and it's not the same for everyone. But I do feel like I am as close to 100% as I could possibly be in this moment. I think that there's always room to grow and room to get better, but I don't feel as if that's now trying to kind of crawl back to where I left off. I think that's now building upon where I was and now growing into a new player. So I feel happy about that. You know, it's an up and down journey, and I think that there are many players out there that are very well aware of that. And so I would like to say that it's not about returning to kind of who you are as a player before you get injured, but it's kind of redefining who that new player is. And I think that's what's starting to happen, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, and I think we're focused on what we're doing and what we're trying to do, but you're asking specific question about our opponent. And I guess I would just say I've seen them play, you know, multiple formations with multiple amount of players in the back line, that the player you mentioned has, you know, done well in both those moments. And, you know, for us, that just means that we need to be prepared for a couple different scenarios, but we're aware of the strengths and weaknesses that they have, you know, across their team, just as I'm sure they're aware of ours. And that's kind of where they're at, and this is kind of where we're at, and we're excited to have the opportunity to play them. In terms of I'm not sure what it was, a social media, you know, Emma liking it or something like that. I am not on social media a whole lot during tournaments. I'm focused on what we're doing and being with the people that we get to be with, that our time is quite limited together. So this is the most important part. But, you know, I talk to Emma pretty regularly, so I don't need to see a message online to know how she feels. And we're excited to be doing this together. And of course, everyone was happy with that performance. So I think that was just a little fun she was having, letting the world know.
Stephanie, you can go ahead and ask your question at this time.
Thanks. Tierna, Steph Young, The Athletic. Tierna, I wanted to ask, we talked to Brazil and Mexico earlier today as part of their match day -1, and they all talked about the importance of Gold Cup and how well they think it's gone in terms of creating a showcase for these teams and giving them more opportunities to play on a bigger stage with important games. I see you nodding your head that, you know, the last 3 games alone, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, bing, bang, boom. It feels like this is a great platform, a big success. I'm wondering about your feelings about this tournament being an opportunity to develop the region and to give everybody important high stakes games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I think it's amazing that these teams are getting the ability to experience an Olympic-like schedule. It's a very challenging schedule, and so it's a really good test for teams to be able to be in front of thousands of fans and, you know, kind of grow the game and grow names is really important. I mean, I think you can see like what Puerto Rico did, going on the run that they did and having the tournament that they did. It's like so important and galvanizing for their country, for that team, for the players. So I think tournaments like these and the opportunities for all of us is great. As Twila had mentioned, like having this continuous time together, being able to develop as a team together through these trainings, through these games is so rare and unique now that our club schedules are very demanding. So I think for all of our teams being able to get that development, especially going into a very important tournament this summer is super, super great. So I'm very thankful that this tournament exists now. And I'm sure that it's just going to continue to grow our confederations.
Kyle, you can go ahead and ask your question at this time.
Thank you guys very much for your time. Appreciate it. Kyle Bond from the Sporting News. Twila, I wanted to ask you, you guys really turned things around last match, obviously. And with it, you made a lot of changes to the lineup in that game, including taking a few regular starters out of the lineup. So my question is, what has been your message to the players about how they go about earning playing time and how you go about selecting a starting lineup for each game based on performance, on, your plan of attack, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've made it pretty clear from the beginning that the technical staff and coaching team have certain, in addition to winning and in addition to working on different systems and having some tactical flexibility and making sure we make use of this time that we have together, that there were certain things that we wanted to accomplish in terms of protecting our players. So load management has been definitely something at the forefront. For those that are in the NWSL, we're still in preseason. So for instance, a lot of players wouldn't have played more than 20 to 40 minutes in an 11v11 match. And now we've got a series of 6, what you hope to be 6 matches. So loading has always been a part of that, looking at certain partnerships. And then because we played multiple systems, making sure that we had the opportunity to have certain people play different roles and responsibilities within each system. And all of that to get to a point where we could get a little bit closer to determining, the direction that we're going. And the players know that every single day, not just in games, but also in trainings, that they are, and for those that aren't here with us right now, in their home environments, we've got eyes on them, that they are working towards and earning, future spots on this team. And in terms of, playing time here, they know that good performances are rewarded with more playing time, so long as it's in the best interest of their health and physical, kind of where they are in the physical at the moment, because we are still in preseason and this is an Olympic year and it is important to come out of this event, improving, getting closer to where we want to be, but also healthy.
Jonathan, you can go ahead and ask your question at this time.
Thanks. Jonathan Tannenwald here from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Tierna, as you've watched the film of Canada in this post-Christine Sinclair era, so much, at least of the attention, if not always the ball, went through Sink over and over and over again for years and years. She was their biggest star and all that. You played against her a ton. You know that as well as anybody. What do you see now from this Canadian team in the post-Sinclair era? Thanks.
Yeah, we definitely see a dynamic shape that they're playing. It's changed, and we're looking at how they like to overload wide spaces and getting a lot of crosses off and like to combine in wide spaces to find finishes within the box. And so I think we're just working on how we want to combat that and how we want to defend that and clean that up. And so you definitely see a team that is continuing to evolve. I think similar to us, we're also going through an evolution of sorts. And so you see them trying new things, trying different things, multiple players playing different positions or new players coming into their starting 11. So it's a lot of moving parts, which is exciting to see. And I think exciting as an opponent to come into something that is new and different.
At this time, we'll take one final question from Neil. Neil, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. And Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press in Toronto. My question is for Tierna. Tierna, your quarterfinal, your opposition, there seemed to be a lot of attitude, theatrics, trying to get under your team's skin. Do you expect tomorrow night's game to be more about football?
I mean, I think there's definitely still going to be some of the getting under each other's skin because it's a rivalry and that's just kind of how it goes. And the game of soccer is not just with the ball; it's also emotional, and that's just kind of what happens in these games, and it's an exciting part of the game. But it's about the balance of keeping our heads and maintaining our goals that are right in front of us, and playing a little bit of that game, but also playing the game with the ball. I think that hopefully the ball is going to be in play a lot. We're going to see a lot of good soccer on both sides. We're really excited about that, but it's always a fun rivalry game and see what happens.